Hey there, and welcome back to Tim Talks Cooking. Today we are talking low-carb, gluten-free sandwich buns. You are going to love this recipe. And you know, if you're on the keto diet, one of the things you're probably missing the most, besides pasta, is bread. And you know, there are a number of solutions for that. Actually, there are some of them on my channel. I'll make links to them somewhere here on the screen in just a moment. But here, I think I've really found something that's very close to really a whole wheat or a whole grain bun. Tastes very similar, and here's the kicker. It really has the texture of bread made with wheat. I really love these buns, and I hope you'll try them. Let's get started. Here's what you'll need to make these incredible sandwich buns. Starts off with 3/4 cup of almond flour, 1/4 cup of coconut flour, 1/4 cup of ground flaxseed meal, and if you have whole flax seeds, just put the same amount in your blender and grind them up. You might want to do that as well if you have whole psyllium husks. These are ground. I got 2 tablespoons of them here. I've also got a teaspoon of onion powder and a teaspoon of baking powder. Obviously, some kosher salt, a pinch of that to season it. We're also going to need a tablespoon or 2 of raw sesame seeds for a garnish later on. And for wet ingredients, we've got 3 egg whites and 1 whole egg. That's why there's only 1 yolk in there. A teaspoon of apple cider vinegar and a cup of water. Let's get started with this. I'm preheating my oven to 350 degrees, and now we're just going to blend the dry ingredients together in our food processor here. And it's kind of a dump and go. We just take everything that was dry. Those are the psyllium husks and the almond flour. Here we've got the flaxseed meal, coconut flour, the leavening and the seasoning, pinch of salt, get the lid on there, give her a whirl. That's also going to take all the little lumps of almond flour. It'll be as if we'd sifted it. These buns are great. You know, you can see here, they're going to come out looking like whole grain buns, actually. They're going to have a nice brown color to them, or whole wheat or something like that. And let's mix our wet ingredients together here. We've got our 3 egg whites and an egg yolk. Here I'm going to beat these until they get foamy here with my whisk. I suppose if we just toss this stuff all in the food processor, it'd be okay, but this really seems like a better way to do it. I think we're going to make sure our yolk and white is all incorporated. Get that vinegar in there. The vinegar, of course, is going to react with the baking soda as a leavener and add a lovely, spongy, airy quality to these buns. The first time I had them, which was recently, I was really pretty astounded at how much like wheat bread these are in terms of texture. Now we're just going to add this to our food processor. Make sure we get all that. Now, when you're working with psyllium husks as an ingredient, they get kind of lumpy. Psyllium husks are the main ingredient. They're the ingredient of Metamucil, if you use that product. So they're very fibrous. And so this dough is going to be kind of sticky. There's a cup of water. And we're going to combine this. We don't want to overdo it, but we want to get this combined. That coconut flour is really going to expand. And there we go. We want to make sure everything here is well combined. See, we've got some lumps there. I'm going to get those out by continuing to do that. You can see now it's already got this gelatinous quality, right? As the coconut flour absorbs the water, it's going to thicken up and become more dough-like. Although, once we get done with this, it's not going to be like a wheat dough. It's not going to have that spongy, doughy feel. That's okay. Now we've got it mixed up. I'm going to let this rest for 5 minutes. Next, we're just going to remove it from the food processor bowl. Make sure we get all of it. Like I said, it's sticky and kind of gummy. You'll see it's really, and it's a little soft too. Don't let that disconcert you. Here we go. Okay. And you really want to get all of that. I'll tell you, I really would not want ground psyllium husk that's been moistened like this in my drain, the drain of my kitchen sink. Okay, the next task is really just to divide this into 4 equal pieces so that we have a uniform size to our buns. I like to just make kind of a circle out of it. I flatten it out a little bit. Cut it with my bench scraper. See, it's real soft, real worrisome actually. But trust me here. But it's sticking to the board. Do we need to put a bunch of stuff on the board like we would with flour? No, I wouldn't do it. I really wouldn't. They're just fine like this. Okay, next what we want to do is shape them into buns. Let me remove them so you can see me do it. We're going to shape them into buns with our hands. I'm going to make it into a ball shape, flat circle kind of a, right? And I'm putting this on a silpat lined baking sheet. You could also use parchment paper or whatever you like. I think these might stick to an aluminum pan if you just spray it with Pam or something like that, or brush it with oil. You don't want to crowd these on a sheet pan. They are going to expand. They're really adorable when they're done, you'll see. And if you've gone a while on the keto diet without having a decent hamburger on a real bun, you're really going to appreciate how this turns out. I'll just flatten that out. They don't have to be perfect or anything, but I do like them. I like them to be as pretty as possible. I like my food that I serve to other people, I like it to look like I cared about it. Now this step is optional. Here I'm brushing some egg wash, and that's basically an egg yolk plus a tablespoon of water that I've mixed together, and I'm going to brush it on the tops of my buns. The reason I'm going to do this, it actually doesn't make them golden or anything. It's going to help the sesame seeds stick to it. If you don't want to use egg, you can just kind of press them in, but a lot of them are going to fall off. I'm not sure I'd bother. Okay. And of course, you could garnish these with whatever you like. If you have poppy seeds, or like I think like everything bagel spices would be great on this. I'm sure Parmesan or Asiago cheese would be really beautiful. In fact, I think I'll probably try those next time. Anyway, there we go. These are going to go into our oven for 50 minutes, and we'll check them at that point. We might want to leave them in there for a few minutes longer than that, but we'll see. About 50 minutes, so set your timer for that. There's my timer going off. Let's get these out of the oven and see how we did. It's been 50 minutes. Oh yeah, these are gorgeous. There we are. And then we're going to let them cool for just a minute before we move them. And you see we've got one of them, well actually these two have kind of deflated a little bit, but they look gorgeous to me. Look at that, very nice. Give them a little tap on top, make sure they're done. And we're going to put these on a wire rack and cool them completely before we cut them. Earlier, I made a test batch of these buns, and let me just show you what they're like. This one is cooled completely. Just slice it in half so you can see the texture. It's just really wonderful. And let me get that up to the camera. Isn't that great? It really looks, you can see that it's spongy like bread, has the look of bread, and it really has the mouthfeel of bread. I say we give this a taste. For my taste test, I decided to try this in the form of a sandwich. Here I'm using my pulled pork. You'll see the recipes pop up here. All you do is click on the link. And my keto sugar-free barbecue sauce. Mix those together a little bit. Here I made a sandwich with some Dijon mustard, some Swiss cheese, and some salad greens. Let's give it a taste. So good. And that bread really has the mouthfeel of wheat bread. I'm very surprised. It's just delicious, but you don't need to watch me eat it. Listen, but what I would like you to do before you go is to make sure that you subscribe and that you comment, share, like, all that good stuff. Listen, thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next time on Tim Talks.